सो व्हाट्स गोइंग ऑन गाइस, RGHERE मैं आ गया हूं आप लोगों के लिए लेके एक और वीडियो। ये तो आदत हो गई है वैसे तुम लोगों को सुनने की, बट कभी कभी हम पॉडकास्ट भी लाते हैं एंड यू नो दैट जब हम लाते हैं तो हम कुछ ना कुछ करके ही जाते हैं। एंड वी आर लाइव विद अ वेरी स्पेशल गेस्ट टुडे। एंड गाइज मेरे को बड़ा अच्छा लगता है जब सिंगिंग कम्युनिटी से, मतलब प्रो सिंगिंग कम्युनिटी से लोग आते हैं। स्पेसिफिकली अगर मैं बात करूं, प्रो सिंगिंग एज इन क्लासिकल जॉनरा, जो हमारे इंडिया का एक्चुअल जॉनर है म्यूजिक का, हमने कहीं से अडेप्ट नहीं करा है, वो चीज मेरे को बड़ी अच्छी लगती है जिसके ऊपर हम बात करने वाले होंगे। तो अगर आज के हम गेस्ट की बात करें तो शी इज अ वेरी प्रोमिनेंट सिंगर। मोस्टली उन्होंने काफी लैंग्वेजेस में गाने गाए हैं, बाकी ज्यादा उनसे ही जानेंगे। आज की जो सिंगर होने वाली हैं हमारे साथ, हमारे जो पॉडकास्ट पे गेस्ट होने वाली हैं, उनका नाम है वंदना श्रीनिवासन जी। तो लेट्स कॉल हर अप ऑन द पॉडकास्ट एंड लेट्स हैव अ वर्ड विद हर एंड हियर वी गो। हेलो मैम, हाउ आर यू?
Hi, good evening, Rahul. Namaste, namaskaram. Good to be here.
नमस्ते मैम। मैम आपको कैसा लग रहा है, पहले तो ये बताओ, आपका मेरे ख्याल से फर्स्ट पॉडकास्ट है ये?
Yes, I think we've done a few, but I think if you look at it, every conversation is novel. ऐसा नहीं है कि
या
there's a set pattern and there's a sort of script that you follow. काफी natural है. तो this is definitely something I've been looking forward to, and और जो भी मुझे जानते हैं, they know that I love to talk. So this is not an issue ever. So it's always a joy being part of things like this. So thank you very much for inviting me to be part of your podcast series, and looking forward to having a lovely conversation today.
थैंक यू सो मच मैम। एंड द थिंग इज, हमारे ना आजकल जो जेंजी का सीन चलता है, और रैप में चले गए, मॉडर्न एज म्यूजिक में चले गए, तो क्लासिकल म्यूजिक की ज्यादा बात हो नहीं पाती है। तो जब भी होती है तो ये मेरे अंदर का जो कीड़ा है ना, ये बाहर आ जाता है कि हाँ, अब मेरे को यहाँ पे मौका मिला कुछ ट्रेडिशनल टॉक करने का।
Okay.
एंड बेस्ट चीज ये होती है कि जब कोई प्रो आए, जब एक जॉनर का कोई प्रो सिंगर आए, या फिर मतलब मेरे को ऐसा लगता है ना कि आप जैसे, यू आर सो गुड एट क्लासिकल, आई हैव सीन योर वीडियोस, आप बहुत इन हो, आपके वोकल बहुत ज्यादा पावरफुल है, बहुत ज्यादा मतलब प्यारी वोकल है आपकी, टू बी ऑनेस्ट। एंड सो आई वांटेड टू नो मोर अबाउट यू, टू बी ऑनेस्ट। तो मेरे साथ साथ शायद जनता भी जानना चाहेगी कि हाउ यू स्टार्टेड दिस जर्नी। तो वो अब मैं आपके ऊपर छोड़ता हूँ। आई वांट टू नो कि हाउ दिस जर्नी स्टार्टेड एंड हाउ यू एंटर्ड म्यूजिक।
Okay. I think before we go into that conversation, I'd like to, highlight the topic that you have brought about today, that it's modern versus classical. I think
या
सबसे पहली बात ये है कि when we pit something against each other, naturally there's a sense of competition. But if you combine forces, you can actually achieve so much more. And I think
परफेक्ट।
that is something I would say we have been trying to do. A lot of times it's about आप ये आर्ट फॉर्म को कैसे पैकेज करते हो, कैसे प्रेजेंट करते हो,
एग्जैक्टली।
it's important how you project it to people and how you present it to people. And I think if you give it to them in a format that is relatable to them, they immediately latch on. If you look at just say Gen Z and how many ever other letters of the
या
alphabet are there in terms of generations, I think they have a very specific style of music that they listen to. And imagine, repackaging traditional forms into a language that they understand. Automatically,
या
you'll have, a massive audience and listeners in that category. So I think that is the school of thought I belong to. I think that there's a lot of strength when you combine different genres. And I've been very fortunate to be exposed to a lot of different art forms. And I've had the privilege of learning under some amazing mentors. And I continue to learn. So I think that is my purpose going forward. I'd like to combine these forms and present something which will also have something unique in the way that I create my sound and my music and my art. So that is the school of thought that I belong to.
मैम मैं एक पर्सनल लाइकिंग पे आऊंगा कि जब मैंने आपकी वोकल सुनी थी ना, योर वोकल जितना, मतलब मेरे को नॉलेज है, मतलब मेरे से तो मेरी नॉलेज तो नाखून बराबर नहीं है किसी एक ट्रेंड सिंगर के, लेकिन अगर मैं बोलूं कि जितना भी मुझे नॉलेज है ये रिएक्शंस कर करके, मैंने देखा है आपकी जो वोकल है पर्टिकुलरली, इट्स वेरी फ्रेश एंड
Okay.
वेरी डिफरेंट.
Mm-hmm.
And if we go for playback these days, playback
Mm-hmm.
is something, प्लेबैक इज समथिंग जिसके अंदर डिफरेंट वोकल्स और यूनिक वोकल्स का बहुत ज्यादा वेलकम किया जाता है. जहां तक मुझे लगता है म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर्स उन चीजों को प्रेफर करते हैं.
Mm-hmm.
व्हाट अबाउट यू, क्या आप क्या प्रेफर करते हो कि ये प्लेबैक इज इंपॉर्टेंट या ऑन स्टेज सिंगिंग इज इंपॉर्टेंट? मतलब यही वही बात होगी ना कि आपकी जो स्टार्ट हुआ है, जो
Mm-hmm.
आपका एक्चुअल म्यूजिकल करियर या म्यूजिकल लव स्टार्ट हुआ है, द लव फॉर म्यूजिक यू केम अप विद,
Mm-hmm.
ये आपको कहाँ से ड्राइव होता है? बेसिकली ड्राइव क्या है आपकी म्यूजिक की?
पहली बात तो ये है कि आई कैन नेवर गिव शॉर्ट आंसर्स. सो आपने जो भी
परफेक्ट.
सवाल पूछे हैं, आई हैव अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स टू से. To
या.
start with, as for my drive, I think growing up, I've had amazing role models. I come from a family where there's been a lot of music. There is a lot of music. Professionally, no one's pursued it in the previous generation. And in the
ओके.
current generation, that has changed. I grew up outside India, not in India. So, like most, NRI families, they send their children for music classes kyunki, you need to have some roots and connect with your culture. And my parents wanted that for my brother and I. So, at a very young age, I started training in Carnatic music, which is a South Indian form of Indian classical music. And
यस.
I think from the age of 3 or 4. And that went on for quite a few years. And along the way, I realized that I had fallen in love with Hindustani music without even knowing that I'd fallen in love with it. And again, I was exposed to it at a very young age. And I think that made quite an impression on me. And at home, I think my parents are the kind of people who've always played music all the time, right
ओके.
from ghazals to bhajans to across languages. And I think the fact that they come from, again, varied influences, there were a lot of languages at home. So we had, Tamil at home, Kannada at home, Malayalam, all of that. I grew up in the Middle East in Doha, which is again like a
ओह.
very multicultural place. So, a lot of languages. And I think as children, when you're exposed at that age, you tend to absorb so much more and in a better way. So I
या.
think the musical influences started at that point. And as I grew older, that seed of, let's do this professionally, that kind of started. But in Doha, there was, I didn't think there was a possibility of doing this professionally. And that's when the whole idea of moving to India was planted in my head.
ओके.
And I thought, like when we go through life, the aim is to have as little regret as possible. And I knew that if I didn't try this, the regret quotient
ओके.
would be very, very high in my life. So,
फेयर इनफ.
ऐसी काफी सारी चीजें हैं where I was very stupid, but when it came to my career and a few other things, I think I made pretty good decisions, even if I say so myself, and that has fortunately, touch wood, worked out well. And so I moved to India when I was 17. And the main reason was, well, of course, I also, was academically inclined and I wanted to pursue psychology, which I did. But I also tried to get into the film industry in the South. So I moved to Chennai, Madras. And I was there for 3 years. And in those 3 years, my aim was to meet as many people as possible, get comfortable in the studio. Because if you walk into a studio, you have, headphones, mic, and you're comfortable, you know what to do. But at the beginning, it's
एग्जैक्टली.
quite scary. And I used to find myself very nervous and very intimidated. And I wanted all of that to change. Because unless you get comfortable, where's, your best output going to come from? So I did a lot of these advertisement recordings, a lot of track singing, met a lot of people. And after 3 years, life took a turn. I moved to the UK for my master's. I was there for about a year and a half. And interestingly, in London, where I studied, that's where I was introduced to a lot of, art forms from a different part of the world. And a lot of the Bangla community, especially. I made a lot of really good friends who I'm still in touch with even today. And they introduced me to a lot of Rabindra Sangeet, traditional music, and I actually had the opportunity to do a lot of experimenting, and that also happened out of the blue. And after all of that, so in those 1.5 years, I was still very much in touch with music. Fortunately, despite having moved elsewhere, I think the connection was still very strong. And because of that, I wanted to move back and give it a shot, because again, it was all about, yes, you could live elsewhere, go the corporate way, live a comfortable life. But if you
Fair
have a
enough.
dream and you don't pursue it, pretty sure that 30, 40 years down the line, it's definitely going to bother me. So I moved back again to Chennai. I started
Mm-hmm.
working in a young company because I wanted to have that flexibility of being able to go in for recordings and everything. And this is also the long story of a long version of a, shorter version of a longer story. But to cut that slightly short, I eventually had a beautiful opportunity to work with a prominent South Indian composer. His name is GV Prakash, and that turned out to be
Uh,
debut.
मैम,
Debut.
आपको आपने ना मतलब ये जो अभी तक अपनी जर्नी बताई है, सॉरी मैंने कट किया आपकी बात, लेकिन आपने जो अभी तक जर्नी बताई है, आपने मेरे बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स टिक कर दिए.
Okay.
मतलब एज इन आगे इससे रिलेटेड बहुत कुछ आने वाला है. So I
Perfect.
am quite happy.
Wonderful.
So
Wonderful.
yes, ma'am, you met GV Prakash sir.
Yes, and I worked with him. And so I think a lot of things happened simultaneously, which all sort of culminated into something bigger. So around the same time, I started doing a lot of YouTube videos, and that was when the first wave of YouTubers in India had started uploading videos. And I think the timing was great, and I was working with some amazing people, and all of that got a lot of traction online. Did a few beautiful collaborations with amazing musicians. And all of that kind of began to create a bit of a momentum. And I think in these lines of work, creating that momentum is quite difficult. And if you don't capitalize at that point, it's going to be hard to build that all over again. So by then it had been about a year of working in this company, and I had very supportive bosses who said, "Ki agar aap ye full time karna chahte ho, please carry on. We will support you. You are always welcome to join us again if you think that's not working for you. But we can see that you're passionate about this, and we would also be very disappointed if you didn't give this a shot." So I think I've been fortunate in that sense. I've had a great support system at work, of course, at home, my parents to begin with, my brother, immediate family, friends, all of that. And I think this is another point we should speak about later: the importance of having a nurturing ecosystem and a support system for work.
Yeah,
And I think that
I think
makes,
we both correlate on that because मेरा भी
yeah,
कुछ ऐसा ही है. We'll talk about this in the further conversation.
absolutely. Well, that's pretty much how the film career started, and it was also important to me that I don't compromise on the kind of training that I am pursuing, and I still work with some amazing musicians. I'm being mentored by some very talented, very generous, compassionate human beings, and I think all that has led me to where I am today. So that's been the journey so far.
That's quite a journey actually. मतलब सबसे अच्छी चीज ना यहाँ पे मैं काफी चीजें आपके बारे में जान पाया इस दौरान ना. मतलब एग्जाम्पल के तौर पे जैसे आपका फैमिली का सपोर्ट रहा है, वर्क कल्चर आपका जो आपके अराउंड रहा वो भी आपको थोड़ा पुश करता रहा इस चीज के लिए. ये चीज बहुत मैटर करती है लाइफ में भी. एंड आपका रीजनल जर्नी, जो रीजनल म्यूजिक की तरफ आपकी जर्नी है, वो भी यहाँ पे काफी ओपन हुई मेरे लिए. तो मैम अगर हम यहाँ पे बात करते हैं, जो रीजनल म्यूजिक है या रीजनल मूवीज हैं, दे आर गोइंग पैन इंडिया.
करेक्ट.
सो जो पैन इंडिया स्टफ एक्चुअली है, इसको हम एग्जैक्टली ये बोल सकते हैं कि ये एक्चुअल पैन इंडिया जा रहा है. बिकॉज जहां तक मुझे लगता है ना, आज भी मतलब उन मूवीज को थिएटर में रिलीज कर दिया गया है, बट कहीं ना कहीं कुछ फिल्में ऐसी हैं जो ऑलरेडी डब होके टेलीविजन पे आ रही थी, बस अब वो टेलीविजन की जगह पे थिएटर तक चली गई हैं. तो उससे बेनिफिट हुआ है आपके हिसाब से म्यूजिक इंडस्ट्री को?
I think in terms of opportunities, definitely, because you have so many more avenues these days. I think COVID, the whole pandemic situation, was definitely a contributor because earlier there was this trend of watching movies on the big screen, but people wouldn't go for all the movies. And I think during the pandemic, when everybody was staying indoors, and I think we have kind of widened our choices in terms of what we watch.
Hmm.
People are more open to watching, say other movies dubbed in different languages because language is no longer
Exactly.
a barrier. And
Hmm.
also in terms of the kind of films that are being made, especially in the South, I think the movies are simply phenomenal. And we've always had great cinema. And the fact that now we have access to a wider audience is definitely heartening. So I think in terms of opportunities, yes. For example, and the reverse also happens, which has been happening for a while now. Like for example, the series Hira Mandi by Sanjay Leela
Yeah.
Bhansali, that was dubbed in all South Indian languages, and I was beyond thrilled to be part of that. So I sang the Tamil and Telugu versions of one song from the series, and
Nice.
one of those absolute dream come true moments. Growing up, you watch all of that grandeur on screen, and you imagine being part of it, and it was definitely a big pinch me moment when that happened.
Oh,
So
for
yeah, it's
that
definitely.
reason, if we go for one few years back,
Mhm.
right? You also sang a song for Hrithik Roshan film.
Yes, you have really done your research. Yeah, you're right. I have in the
That's
Tamil and Telugu version.
Kabil.
Kabil.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, yes. You're right.
तो
Yeah.
मतलब इवॉल्वमेंट तो तब भी चालू था, बट
Hmm.
कोविड ने उसे थोड़ी हवा ज्यादा दे दी कि
Definitely. I think there's a lot more awareness now. And and again, I think that direction has been happening for a long time. Hindi dubbed into other regional languages, but the reverse
या
has been facilitated by COVID. A lot of my friends in Delhi are big fans of Malayalam films, and I think that is also a very recent kind of trend. And for example, people all over the world consume, like watch Korean series and movies and everything. And I think there's
या
been such a spike in all of that. I could be wrong if I'm attributing it to you know, to whatever I am, but I think that in the last few years, there's definitely been a shift in terms of people's mindsets and how open they are to watching other languages. So there's definitely been an upward trend.
एग्जैक्टली बिकॉज ऑफ दिस फिल्म बिजनेस हैज आल्सो ग्रोन, आर्टिस्ट के लिए अपॉर्चुनिटी भी बढ़ी हुई है.
Mm-hmm.
और अगर मैं यहाँ पे देखूँ ना, आई हैव आल्सो बीन अ पार्ट ऑफ दिस इंडस्ट्री एंड आई हैव वर्कड इन क्वाइट अ फ्यू प्रोजेक्ट्स earlier before doing this YouTube thing. I
Mm-hmm.
was quite a good part of that industry, so I know that thing because मैं अगर वहां पे मुंबई में बैठ के काम करते थे तो हमारे पास रीजनल काम आता था. हमारे
Okay.
पास मतलब साउथ से काम आना या
Mm-hmm.
पंजाबी सिनेमा का हमारे पास काम आना, भोजपुरी से भी काम आना, तो ये
Mm-hmm.
काम आ रहा है. हमें पता है कि इसके अंदर कितनी पोटेंशियल है, बट द ग्रोथ,
Mm-hmm.
the magnification of the work actually is addressed by the audience in a very good way when the thing that is called pan India has actually happened. मेरे हिसाब से तो
Absolutely.
यही लग,
Yeah. Hmm.
ये ओटीटी जो प्लेटफॉर्म्स आए हैं इन्होंने बहुत ज्यादा सपोर्ट करा है रीजनल सिनेमा को ऑल ओवर इंडिया तक लेकर जाने के लिए, रादर
Mhm.
वर्ल्ड तक लेके जाने के लिए.
Mhm.
तो ये चीज मेरे को फील होती है. बट मैम, आपने एक चीज मेंशन करी थी कि यू सिंग इन मेनी लैंग्वेजेस, राइट?
Mhm.
You sing
Yes.
in many languages. You
Yeah.
sing Bangla, you sing Malayali, you sing Tamil, right?
Mhm. Mhm.
Kannada.
Mhm.
So, which language is the language which you love singing into? कि हाँ, मतलब ये मेरा एक zone है. I am cooking and I am singing in that language.
I was really hoping you would not ask me to pick a favorite. That's extremely hard because, like you said, yes, of course, a lot of languages, beautiful languages exist, and we are very lucky that we get to explore all of them and sing in so many of them. So my ancestors are from Tamil Nadu, so they speak Tamil,
Okay.
but they moved to different states in India. So my maternal the side of my family, they speak Kannada, which is from Karnataka. Paternal side, they're from Bombay. They also speak Marathi. I sing in,
Okay.
yes, Marathi. No, I don't. I've definitely done some singing in it. I don't speak the language, but I can understand bits and pieces and could just about manage popular phrases. Kannada,
I would have put you in a I would have put you in a situation. चलो मराठी में बात
no,
करते हैं.
which is why I made it very clear. No, no. But I've married someone from another state, so there's another language there, Kerala, Malayalam, and Telugu is also
Okay.
something that I sing in. And Hindi, we grew up with Urdu because of ghazals and all of that. I'm exposed to. I'm learning. I'm not fluent in it, but I can sing in that. We also did some singing in French, in Arabic,
अरे बाप
Bengali,
रे.
for sure. And I think it's something I love exploring. And I think the best part about being an artist is that you get to wear so many different hats. You know, it's like getting into
Okay.
it's very similar to, I don't want to make any assumptions, but I think it's very similar to theater. You're getting into a role, you're getting into a character. When you're singing for someone on screen, you are also imagining what it's like to be the character. Yes, you're not in front of the camera, but you're also imagining what it would be like, because you need to channel all of that into your singing. So I think it's very exciting because you get to don different hats and be different people, and without the pressures of having to look like a movie star, or like, you know, having to be in front
Yeah,
of the camera. So I think it's very exciting, the kind of exploratory things that singers get to do. And there's still so
actually.
much more to do. And every day I have these thoughts, you know, like there's so many plans and so many things you want to do musically. And when are we going to do all of it? Because, you know, the list is growing day by day. And there's so many, you know, collaborations that I want to do. I would love to. I mean, the sky's the limit, really. So,
I've
yes,
heard
going
Sonu
back
sir
to your
saying.
question. Go ahead.
I've heard Sonu Nigam sir saying one day, because I was sitting somewhere and he was also sitting jamming around with his friends.
Okay.
So मैं वहां पे जैम नहीं कर रहा था. I was there for a while, 2-3
Okay.
minutes or 5 minutes. उस
Okay.
दौरान उन्होंने ना एक बात बोली थी. उन्होंने कहा
Mm-hmm.
था कि अगर हम एक्सप्रेशन अच्छा नहीं देंगे एज अ सिंगर
Mm.
गाने में,
Mm.
अगर एज अ सिंगर मेरी वोकल में वो एक्सप्रेशन नहीं दिखेगा,
Mm-hmm.
तो सिंगर वहां पे एक्टर वहां पे एक्ट कर ही नहीं सकता.
Hmm.
सो सिंगर्स की जो वैल्यू है, जितनी मेरे को लगता है होनी चाहिए, उतनी
Hmm.
अभी भी नहीं हुई है. तो
Hmm.
ये मैं वहां से सीखता हूँ. और जिस हिसाब से आपका आपका मैं देख रहा हूँ, करियर ब्लेंड देख रहा हूँ ना, कि आपकी लैंग्वेजेस बहुत ज्यादा वास्ट हैं. आपका एक ग्राफ रहा है कि आप बीच में साइकोलॉजी भी कर रहे हो. उससे भी मेरे ख्याल से आपको म्यूजिक में काफी हेल्प हुई होगी टू लर्न द
Absolutely.
साइकोलॉजी.
Absolutely. And I think you meet so many people, you really see the entire spectrum of human behavior. You're able to channel your emotions into your singing. You know, log aksar aise kehte hain ki you're so lucky, you just have to sing, and that's, you're so lucky. And the
इम्पॉसिबल.
thing is, yeah, the thing is, initially I used to get very irritated with that statement, because, you know, immediately you feel annoyed and you think, how do you explain to these guys how difficult it is? But the thing is, if you make it look effortless, that means you are doing a very good job of what you're doing, first of all. And also,
एक्चुअली.
if I weren't doing this professionally, शायद मुझे भी ऐसा लगता कि, you know, singing is so easy, yaar. They just get, you know, they just get to sing and that's it. Like life is, you know, set. And I hear this so much from so many people. And now I've realized that there's no point in getting irritated, because, like I said, the effort is monumental. You know, after a
फेयर
recording,
इनफ.
you are physically exhausted, you are emotionally exhausted, because you've channeled all that energy and emotion into your singing. And you know how tiring it is, but how are you going to go and explain to every person that, you know what, it's a very physical and emotional, labor intensive task? Because if I weren't
फेयर
doing
इनफ.
this the way I'm doing it now, I'd probably think the same thing. So I think, if on the other hand, I think it's actually a compliment if someone tells you that, because that means that's how effortless you make it seem. That's not the aim, but it's a beautiful byproduct if you make it look effortless.
यहाँ
So
पे भी मतलब मैं रिलेट करता हूँ आपके साथ, बिकॉज आई कैन अंडरस्टैंड दैट फैक्ट कि दिस चैनल इज एक्चुअली 2 years old.
okay.
इतना ज्यादा टाइम नहीं हुआ है, एंड वी हैव नॉट डन कोलैबोरेशंस सिंस लास्ट 6 months. 6 महीने पहले तक हमने कोई कोलैबोरेशन भी नहीं करी थी. अब तो चलो हम करते हैं.
Mm-hmm.
उस दौरान अगर आप देखोगे ना कि 2 साल के अंदर माय चैनल हैव अराउंड 3,000 वीडियोस
Wow, that's
and
amazing.
that's an
Congratulations.
average of 5 videos per day. No doubt, few are reaction videos, few are informative, and few are other videos. But people are like, क्या कर रहा है? वीडियो ही तो बना रहा है.
Exactly. I was just going to ask you. You probably heard the same from people. It's
Nobody understands कि ये जो अभी कल ये गला खराब हो रखा है ना, ये सुबह से हम
exactly.
7 वीडियोस बना के आ रहे हैं, इसी
Hmm.
वजह से ये गला इज एक्चुअली रोस्टेड. तो सिंगर्स के साथ तो और ज्यादा है.
Hmm.
सिंगर्स ने तो घंटों लाइव गाना है.
और
तो
स्टूडियो
वो
में
एक
5-6 घंटे.
स्टूडियो
Hmm.
एग्जैक्टली तो
Yeah.
वो एक जो ड्राइव है ना, सबको लगेगा गाना ही तो गा रहा है, सबको लगेगा वीडियो ही तो बना रहा है, सब तो कुछ ना कुछ कहते ही रहेंगे. ये तो मैंने एक अपनी लाइफ में ना पैक्ट बना लिया, बोलते रहो. मैं
Yeah,
तो
yeah.
खत्म, साइड पे रख देता हूँ वो चीज.
Yeah, I think what I also believe is that आप हर चीज पे तो you can't go and create a ruckus. You have to pick your
या
battles. Is it really my responsibility to go and tell somebody, hey, you know what, hang on, let me tell you how exhausting this is. I don't want to waste
या
my energy. People want to assume that's fine. It's okay. It's not making a dent on my life. And you can very well just put them on mute and continue with your life. I think today we live in a time where, people are, um, it's very easy to get offended, and it's almost like people are waiting to get offended and then share their opinion on that. But I think, on the contrary, what that does is it only depletes you of your energy. You
एक्चुअली
go to bed irritated. You have spent your time doing something completely unproductive. We have the option to disengage from something that doesn't make us feel good. But a lot of
परफेक्ट.
people choose to focus on that, make a whole post on it, talk about it, and it's only negative energy. And I just feel like, you know what, I'd rather not have any of that in my life. People will say a lot of things. We're anyway not living conventional lives. We have made choices that are not, that doesn't suit the majority of people in this world. So when we've
एक्चुअली
already decided a path, we've decided to follow a path like that, why should we be bothered with, their opinions or their assumptions? It doesn't matter. Are
एक्चुअली
you enjoying what you do? Are you feeling good about what you do? Does it bring you joy? Does it bring you meaning and satisfaction? And I think if the answer to all those questions is yes, I think that's more than enough. We're far too blessed if the answers to those questions are yes. And I think we should just continue doing what we are and not um, give the other
मतलब
things.
कभी कभी अंदर का पंजाबी जाग जाता है. आखिर इंसान है, वो फिर फटता है कभी कभी, बट ये है कि वो कभी कभी ठीक है.
Of course. I mean, it's very normal. ऐसा नहीं है कि I'm always, zen and, I have no anger and things. But I think, especially when you're experiencing that anger or irritation, that's the worst time to react. Nothing good is going
एक्चुअली
to come out of it. So you let it pass. And then if you really have something that you're bursting to say, you have a decent conversation about it, but you have to pick your time and place and do it in a way
एक्चुअली
that it's not going to cause you further damage or further harm. So,
मैम, आपने एक चीज बोली कि बांग्ला म्यूजिक जो है उसने
mhm.
बहुत इम्पैक्ट क्रिएट करा आपके ऊपर. मतलब
Hmm.
दैट हैज अ ह्यूज इम्पैक्ट ऑन योर करियर ग्राफ बेसिकली.
Mhm.
मोर ओवर मैं ये जानना चाह रहा था कि व्हाट इज योर ओपिनियन आज के टाइम में, बिकॉज देखो तमिल की फिल्में पैन इंडिया बहुत इजीली एक्सेप्ट हो रही हैं, तेलुगु
Mhm.
फिल्म्स आर एक्सेप्टेड,
Mhm.
kannada movies are accepted, even Malayali films have not got their due as of now, but they are on their way to achieve it. तो
Mm.
अगर मैं यहाँ पे बात करूँ बांग्ला म्यूजिक के बारे में, आपका क्या थॉट प्रोसेस है? दिस इज ऑल्सो वन इंडस्ट्री विच इज एक्चुअली बूमिंग दीज डेज. तो
It is. And going back to one thing that you said, I think on the contrary, Malayalam films are getting a lot of traction. If you look at the past few years, especially, there's some
बट
phenomenal movies come out. And also, again, I'm not an actor, so I don't want to make statements that will, that don't seem, valid. But in my opinion, I think the whole categorization of, say, maybe Bollywood or Bombay versus regional, I think that demarcation is kind of problematic to start with.
या
Everything is regional if you look at it. It's just that some industries get more popularity, and naturally so. You have a lot of big brands
एक्चुअली
associated with it. You have big, production houses and everything. Everything is regional, so to speak. And I think that I believe that if what you do is fundamentally really good, you will eventually get an audience, get a platform. It might take some time, but it'll happen. And along the way, of course, you need a push. You need marketing. You need strategy. You need that kind of business, acumen as well to push your product. But I do believe that eventually, if fundamentally the cinema is good, what you're doing, your films are good, your scripts are good, they will get their traction. And
Actually,
I think it's always going to be a sine wave, especially in this industry. It's never, a linear kind of a graph or like a, static sort of a thing. It's very dynamic. So I think every industry will have its time. And meanwhile, if for example, there is something that you like for example, a particular Bengali film that you like, then you as a viewer can do your bit to promote that film. You talk about it in your friend circles, with your acquaintances, maybe at work, however. And then you're also part of the whole movement that is making it more popular.
actually,
Until such time that it gets a massive push. And any other industry for that matter, not just particularly this kind of language or any.
exactly.
So
बिकॉज मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ कि अगर आपको एज एन आर्टिस्ट या एज अ सेलिब्रिटी या एज एन इन्फ्लुएंसर या कोई भी एज अ पब्लिक फिगर एक छोटा सा भी प्लेटफॉर्म मिला है, तो वहां पे आपको जो चीज अच्छी लगती है उसके बारे में तो कम से कम आप बात करो.
exactly. And it doesn't take much effort. All you
या
have to do is, I mean, well, it does take effort. Everything takes effort. But like, for example, if your friend is part of a project, or if there's somebody who's really worked so hard to put something out. And this is something that comes up often, in the community, in the artist community, in terms of how much support you get from your peers, your family, your friends. And understood, everybody's got their busy lives. And, we're not expecting the moon from people, but it's always nice when people who are in your circles do sort of express that kind of support or a gesture of encouragement. It feels nice, and not to say that nobody else is putting in kind of hard work or effort or anything. Everybody is, but I think this kind of the kind of work that we do also depends on that kind of support, unlike the corporate space. So I think it means a lot more when people from your inner circles
या
talk about your work online and try to spread word about it. It definitely feels good. And also, especially with artists who have not gotten that kind of commercial reach, but you like their work, it doesn't
एग्जैक्टली
take much
एग्जैक्टली
to forward a link or even text the artist or tell them that, hey, you know what, I really like your work. We don't do it for that reason. Let's establish that we are not creating work for the sake of validation. We create it because we want to, but this is a beautiful bonus and it feels nice sometimes. And especially if you're having a day when you're feeling low, a message like that could just brighten your day, immediately. So it's nice. It's not everything, but it's nice to hear.
मैं ना हमेशा एक चीज बोलता हूँ, मेरे चैनल के ऊपर क्या होता है कि आई डोंट रन फॉर रीच, बेसिकली आई डोंट रन फॉर एंगेजमेंट, आई डोंट रन फॉर एनीथिंग, आई जस्ट डू माई वर्क. आई जस्ट फील लाइक कि मेरे को अगर ये चीज पे काम करना है तो मैं करूंगा. अगर हम बात करें ना, मेरे को इतनी बार बोला जाता है एज अ यूट्यूबर के यू कैन फॉलो वन नीश, यू कैन प्रमोट आइदर हिंदी फिल्म्स, आइदर पंजाबी फिल्म्स और बंगाली और तेलुगु और तमिल. इफ आई वुड डू दैट, आई नो आई विल बी डूइंग मिलियंस. बट आई बिलीव अगर मैं थोड़ा सा भी ट्रैक्शन डाइवर्ट कर सकूं एक लैंग्वेज से दूसरी लैंग्वेज पे, तो कितना वास्ट हो जाएगा ये इंडस्ट्री. तो मैं वो ट्राई करता हूँ. इसी तरीके से जीवी प्रकाश सर के बारे में मेरे को पता चला. यही चीज करते करते आई गॉट टू नो अबाउट दिस brilliant guy. What a person, I would say, GV Prakash sir. And when I was researching about you, you have a whole lot of a number working with him. So
Yeah,
I want to know more about it. मतलब मैं ये experience जानना चाहता हूँ आपका कि how was the experience working with GV Prakash sir?
Working with him. It's definitely one of the most precious moments for me in terms of my professional career. I was still working at this company when I got the call for that recording. And I remember I had taken about a few hours, from work, and I went to the studio. And this was around New Year's Eve, 2011, 2012. And I went for the recording, and I was extremely nervous. Walked into the
Mhm.
studio, and I wasn't expecting anything. I don't know why I had been called. I just went for the recording, and I thought, it might be another track, or maybe an advertisement or something like that. But turns out
Okay.
it was for his film, and I sang the song, and then I didn't tell anybody about it, because you don't want to talk about it unless it's confirmed and there's an announcement or there's an agreement you've signed, there's a contract. None of that had happened. So I finished the recording. The song was absolutely beautiful and I fell in love with it. But because I was a little nervous, I
Okay.
think the way I sang it that day was a bit timid. Also, this was, yeah, like 11, 13 years ago. So I was a different
Mhm.
person and I wasn't able to completely switch off that nervous side and just sing with full confidence. So I sang, but I loved the song. I was absolutely in love with the song. And
Mhm.
I left. I didn't tell anybody about it. And I think 2 weeks later, he posted on Twitter saying, "Hi, everybody. This is my next film, and I'm so happy to introduce this singer called Vandana Srinivasan." And I hadn't told any
Wow.
of my friends. And when my friends saw that, naturally, I got like so many angry calls and texts saying, "How could you not tell us? And why would you hide this info?" And I was like, guys, unless it's confirmed or official, you don't know, anything can happen, right? And
Actually.
yeah, and there were many times when I'd actually I did sing for like a lot of films, and then by the time it comes out, for whatever reason, you're
हाँ.
not part of the final thing. So you don't want to make any announcements before it's out. And then he tweeted that. And then of course I was over the moon, and I then went on to tell more people. And from then till the release of the song, it was yeah, about 9 to 10 months of waiting. And every time I'd meet him, I'd be like, "So when is it coming out? Are there any updates?" And it took quite some time. And eventually it came out, and it was very beautiful because I remember that at that point, the director of the movie, Vijay sir,
Mhm.
he decided to retain my voice in the film, along with GV, of course, who also liked my singing. And they
Okay.
had the grace and the um, generosity to trust a newcomer and say that, what, we like this, it's working, let's go with this voice. Because I think a lot of times what happens is people expect you to have, or they would rather go with a bigger brand, and because it gets pushed
Exactly.
even more, and it um, takes a lot of kindness and compassion to actually think from the perspective of a newcomer and say that, hey, you know what, we believe in this, let's go ahead with it. So I think for that I'll always be grateful to the two of them. And also the way I sang was a little timid, but it suited the character in the film because she was also a little timid in the song. So I think
Fair
it
enough.
came together beautifully, and that will always be one of the most precious recordings in my career. I couldn't have asked for a better debut. It was a dream debut in all ways, and it's still a song that brings me so much love. It's been 13, 12 years, and every concert it's always requested by the audience, unless we put it in the list ourselves. And it's always brought me a lot of love, and it's special, very
There are
special.
very few म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर्स इन इंडिया जिनका म्यूजिक सुन के ना मेरे को एक्चुअली ऐसा फील होता है कि गूज बम्स वाली वाइब है.
Mm.
एक तो ए आर रहमान सर द लेजेंड, उसके बाद जीवी प्रकाश सर. You were
Mm.
talking about him. I was not listening to his music right now. I was
Uh-huh.
just listening to you talking about him. I had
Mm.
goosebumps. I
Goosebumps.
don't know. I don't know why, because I love this person so much as a music director,
Okay. Okay.
because the sense of music he has, next level.
Yeah, absolutely beautiful. He's
And
written some really lovely numbers over the years, and you still listen to them with as
सिर्फ
much.
3 या 4 म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर्स होंगे
Mm.
पूरे इंडिया में जिनका म्यूजिक मैं ऐसे सुनता हूँ कि हाँ, अगर गाना चल रहा है ना तो थोड़ी देर के लिए वोकल साइड कर दो, मुझे म्यूजिक सुनना है.
Because you want to hear the music. Yeah.
मतलब या वन
Mm.
इज जीवी प्रकाश, ए आर रहमान, यो हनी सिंह.
Mm-hmm.
हनी पाजी इज ऑल्सो somebody who क्रिएट समथिंग न्यू, कुछ नया
Mm.
आएगा. अभी अभी रिसेंटली उनकी एक एल्बम आई ग्लोरी, उसके
Mm-hmm.
अंदर हाउस म्यूजिक, जमैकन हाउस म्यूजिक ऑन
Mm.
तबला.
Oh,
यू
wow.
कांट मतलब मैं सोच रहा हूँ इंडियन ट्रेडिशनल स्टफ इज हैपनिंग इन जमेका.
Mm.
Only
That's
these people can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. That's beautiful and goes back to our earlier conversation about strength in combining forces.
Yeah.
Why pit genres against each other? Join hands and create something completely unique and um.
एंड योयो हनी सिंह पाजी की एल्बम के अंदर कवाली है.
Mhm.
कवाली, ये सिंगिंग गजल्स, पता नहीं कहाँ कहाँ पे कौन सी दुनिया में चल रहा है वो प्रोडक्ट. वो अलग है. उसके बाद अगर मैं म्यूजिक डायरेक्टर की बात करूँ, डीएसपी सर, देवी श्री प्रसाद,
Absolutely.
क्रेजी लैड, मतलब जो वो बनाते हैं कुछ अलग आता है. आज भी उनका एक प्रोजेक्ट रिलीज हुआ है. आई हैव रिएक्टेड टू दैट सॉन्ग इज योलो. आई
YOLO.
मीन
Okay.
नेक्स्ट, आई मीन इट्स क्रेजी, इट्स क्रेजी. सूर्या सर की फिल्म है कंगुवा, कंगुवा,
Okay.
एंड व्हाट अ सॉन्ग इट इज. तो जीवी प्रकाश सर ना ये कैटेगरी में आते हैं मेरे लिए. मैं जब इनकी मूवी का कोई पार्ट रिएक्ट करता हूँ ना, तो या दिस इज जीवी प्रकाश थिंग. तो ऐसे बोलता हूँ मैं. मेरे रिएक्शंस में देखोगे आप, ये जब भी मैंने जीवी प्रकाश सर का रिएक्ट करा.
Okay. Okay.
तो व्हेन आई
Yeah.
सॉ यू वर्कड विद हिम, आई वाज वेरी ईगर. मैं क्या जानना है भाई.
Yeah, he's got an amazing body of work, and I think a lot of the songs, the melodies really stand out. And he's created some truly timeless numbers, and a lot of
इनकी
people,
बहुत बहुत रिच ऑडियंस है.
yeah. And of
इनकी
course
बहुत
now
रिच ऑडियंस है.
widened because he's also doing Hindi, and naturally it's going to
या
grow because of the viewership and the listeners there. And I think, again, going back to what you said, there are a lot of amazing composers, and I think some of them perhaps don't have as much of a commercial reach, but the musicality quotient is so high. And you just wish that they would also reach the same level in terms of a commercial reach and an audience, because there is so much good music being made. You want all of them to have that kind of listener
देयर इज अ
base.
लाइन ऑफ क्वेश्चन रिगार्डिंग दिस फॉर यू. देयर इज अ लाइन ऑफ क्वेश्चन
There
आगे आ रहा है ये
is.
वाला.
Should I
या
be worried?
देयर इज कम. नहीं नहीं नहीं,
Okay.
वरिड वाला कोई सीन नहीं है. बट
Okay.
अभी जीवी प्रकाश की बात हो रही है, तो देन वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट समथिंग व्हिच इज वेरी बिग इन योर लाइफ.
Don't ask
एंड
me
आई
to
थिंक
pick
यू गॉट,
favorites, please.
वो आगे आएगा.
Okay.
पर अगर मैं बात करूं फिल्म फेयर नॉमिनेशन इन तमिल, आई वॉन्ट टू नो द एक्सपीरियंस. बिकॉज हम तो मतलब एज अ लेमैन बात करेंगे. हमने तो सुना है कि परफॉर्म करो तो अवार्ड मिल जाता है. तो वो चीज वाले हैं हम. हमें नहीं
अच्छा.
पता कि अवार्ड कैसे मिलता है. यू गॉट नॉमिनेटेड इन फिल्म फेयर. आई वॉन्ट टू नो द एक्सपीरियंस व्हेन यू गॉट टू नो अबाउट इट, and how did all this thing happen, what was the feeling when you didn't get that, or what was the feeling when you get nominated for this? Because एक नए सिंगर के लिए फिल्म फेयर नॉमिनेशन डॉट होता है भाई कुछ.
Absolutely, yeah. First of all, वो जो आपने previous statement, आपने जो कहा, I don't know about that. Okay, I'm not going to comment on that. I have no idea. Or
Okay.
perform, and I have no clue about that. But as for my experience, I think a lot of people say things like awards don't matter, and maybe they've already reached a point in life where they feel that it doesn't make a difference to them. And I'm not saying that it's everything, but I think I'm still in a phase of my life. Maybe at one point in life, I might feel like, you know what, it doesn't matter anymore. I don't need that kind of validation. But I honestly think that that kind of acknowledgement is extremely thrilling. And especially if you're new, you gain more experience. I think you like probably today it doesn't hold as much importance as it did for me 10 years ago. But end of the day, if somebody is giving you that kind of acknowledgement and they want to give you an award, and especially like a big name like Filmfare,
फिल्म
of
फेयर.
course you'll be on cloud nine. And I think getting that nomination so early in my career was, getting the nomination felt like I'd won the award. Because growing up,
Yeah.
you watch all these award ceremonies. My mother especially and my brother, they are very big fans of like Hindi movies, and we would never skip like a single award ceremony on TV. We'd watch all of it. So all the performances and everything. So for me, getting the nomination, I was celebrating already because I felt like I've won the award.
स्पीच रेडी कर ली होगी आपने?
Yeah, thank you speech. Who are the people I should thank, and because you always think you'll forget on stage, and my concern was, forget the speech. Will I be able to maintain a calm,
हाँ,
demeanor on
कंपोजर
stage?
वहां
Will I
पे.
start crying, or because I'm known to be pretty moved easily. So yeah, I did have a speech ready, which I used at some other places. But yeah, for me, and then eventually when I didn't win, there was a little bit of disappointment. Again, because I was so
एक बार
new.
तो हुआ होगा ना, नहीं, शी इज नॉट डिजर्विंग, आई वाज मोर डिजर्विंग. घर
No,
आके, नहीं नहीं, ये तो होता है,
see,
पर्सनल
I'll tell you
टॉक्स में
what.
तो आया होगा.
I'll tell you what, from a very young age, my parents, I think this, I definitely credit them for this. From a very young age, they instilled this in my brother and I, that whatever you do, you're doing it for yourself. And
हाँ,
of course, people around you are going to be happy. Like, for example, like a lot of parents, I know they're very particular about like marks and studies and everything. My parents also wanted us to do well. But they never said things like, this is the only thing in life. All they said was, even if you study really well and you get like first place in class or whatever, ultimately that joy is going to be felt only by you. So there's no point in comparing yourself with somebody else. And the best way to go about it is always compare your performance to your past performance, or how you would like to do in the future. So think about it in terms of your graph and how you're growing and how you're evolving. Your evolution is
exactly.
all that you need to focus on. Don't get absorbed into this mess of comparing yourself with others. And honestly, I think that has really carried me through a lot of very difficult times in my adulthood. Especially in an industry like this, where you're also compared to a lot of people. And if you
हाँ,
don't have a good support system, these things can really bring you down. But I think that's where I would definitely credit my parents for making sure my brother and I thought differently about these things. So honestly, if there are 5 nominees, all 5 aren't going to win the award. Only one person
exactly.
is going to win, right? And that's fine. Everybody who's there has worked very hard for this, and whoever wins,
हाँ,
congratulations to them. And it's fine. And then we move on. And everything is a moment. No, nothing is permanent. Today you're upset about it, tomorrow you'll get over it. And even if you win today you're going to be supremely happy, and tomorrow, what's next? You focus on what's coming up next. So I think you don't get
exactly.
too caught up in your success, you don't get too bogged down by your failure. What's next? Move on, look ahead. So I think that has been my approach. So I'm not saying I wasn't disappointed, but I think this whole thought of comparison and stuff, I think I'm okay in that way, that I don't get affected by all of that. For me, I'm looking at what are my goals, what do I want to do tomorrow, what do I want to achieve in the next few months, and I think I'm just kind of zoned in and I go ahead. So that helps.
मेरे, आई हैव बीन द ओनली सन टू माय फैमिली, तो
Okay.
एक ना थोड़ा पैम्परिंग ज्यादा मिलती है हमें. तो
Okay.
उसमें क्या था कि अगर बाई चांस मेरे को अवार्ड नहीं मिलता, तो माय
हाँ.
फादर्स रिएक्शन जनरली यूज्ड टू बी लाइक, घर आएंगे, तू टेंशन मत ले, तू बेस्ट था. है,
Oh,
मुझे
that's
पता
so
है,
sweet.
मुझे पता है. मेरे को याद है, एक जगह पे आई competed and I didn't get any award. I just came back, I was crying. My father was like, what do you want to have? I want to have this. That's your trophy, man. I'll give you that one. तो
That's sweet.
दैट वाज द मोटिवेशन. तो मैंने बोला ना कि हमारी फैमिली, आपने जो बोला कि आपकी फैमिली बहुत सपोर्टिव रही है आपकी चीजों में, तो आपका शायद करियर इतना कंफर्टेबल जोन में चला है.
Absolutely. I think one of the biggest blessings.
या,
जब लोग ऐसे इंटरव्यूज में पूछते हैं कि what is the advice that you'd give to other people, and of course when it comes to singing, there's a whole bunch of things you need to do, like riyaz and everything. But the advice that I have for people is normally not connected to the singing part of it. I keep telling people, make sure you build a solid support system, because that's what's going to get you through, especially in an industry like this, where everything is so
क्रिएटिव
public.
इंडस्ट्री.
It's not like you have one organization and everything is contained within that organization.
एग्जैक्टली.
There's a lot of chatter, there's a lot of conversations. It may not always be nice things. You might feel extremely happy one day, you might hear some kind of something about yourself, you might feel a little affected, feel a little low. And given how much of a sine wave also this industry is, and your career is bound to be, I think having a solid support system is one of the biggest blessings you could have in a field like this, and
Exactly.
in any field, to be honest, but especially in an industry like this where everything is so transient and so unpredictable. And I think that is like my parents, my brother, immediate family, my partner now. I think they have really been absolutely integral in my journey so far. And if I have been able to stay balanced and stay centered and not be too affected by either the highs or the lows, and still move through all of it with focus, with determination, I think I owe it to all of these people. So
You
it's
guys actually have, I think, something combined related to music, no? A company or something like that.
yes. So Anand and I, we run this. We do quite a few things together, and one of them is Madras Mehfil, which is a
Mhm.
music collective that we run. And basically, we've been active in that space for a bit, but we coined the term Madras Mehfil for a whole bunch of reasons. Um,
Mhm.
there's generally an assumption that perhaps ghazals are better done by people from the northern part of India, and I think the south is just as rich in its talent and music and art forms, and it can be done by other people too. And that isn't the main aim. It's not about proving a point. It's about showing people that there are different ways to go about this, and we would
Mhm.
also like to be part of the conversation, part of the um, you know performances that involve these art forms. So at Madras Mehfil, we do a lot of ghazal concerts, we do Sufi bhajans, old Hindi songs, and songs across languages, really. There's no language specification as such. And in fact, even ghazals, people assume that it's only in Urdu or Hindi, but you have them in many other languages. Malayalam has
Yeah.
many of them, so there's a lot to explore. And I think through Madras Mehfil, Anand and I want to kind of debunk all these stereotypes and misperceptions, maybe, and create a different narrative for artists in the South.
मैम मद्रास महफिल विदाउट लग जा गले कैसे खत्म करेंगे हम? आपको एक गाना तो पड़ेगा ही. वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट मद्रास महफिल एंड you would have to do that for us.
Yes, of course. I don't really ever say no. So we do a lot of old Hindi songs, and of course, Lag Ja Gale is such an
Okay.
iconic number. Needs no introduction, really.
Mhm.
It's a timeless composition, and at most of our concerts, I love to sing the song, so it's part of the set list. And if it's not part of the set list, we'll definitely get a request from someone saying, "Please, can you perform this song?" So it's always there. I'll just check the sur. Hang on. लग जा गले के फिर ये हंसी रात हो ना हो, शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो ना हो. लग जा गले के फिर ये हंसी रात हो ना हो, शायद फिर इस जन्म में मुलाकात हो ना हो. लग जा गले से.
Thank you so much, ma'am. That was awesome.
Thank
और
you so
मैंने
much.
माइक बंद कर दिया था. मैंने कहा मैं बीच में खांसी ना कर दूं, जिस
Not
हिसाब
at
से
all.
मेरा गला चल रहा है. but it was
I am
awesome.
hoping
It
to
was
share.
awesome.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's such a timeless composition, and we have very big boots to fill when we sing a song like this because of the expectation that comes with it and the legends who've been part of it. So such a joy singing this every time, and thank you
मेरा
for.
तो मैम मन है कभी आपकी मद्रास महफिल में आ सकूं, अगर
Yes,
कभी
please.
मौका मिले.
I hope that happens very soon. We would love to take this act all over the world. We're
Okay.
partnering with some amazing people. We're working with some um, incredibly supportive people to push the act and to create a platform for this kind of music and to take us to other paths and increase our the listener base and all of that. So I hope that you get to attend a Madras Mehfil concert very soon.
थैंक यू सो मच मैम. बट मैं आपसे एक चीज पूछूंगा. आपने कभी बात करी वाइडर बेस की.
Mm,
So singers are also approaching the wider base independently these days. They are attempting their own EPs. They are attempting to approach labels. कोई YouTube चैनल बना रहा है, कोई कुछ कर रहा है. तो उस चीज को लेके आपके क्या विचार हैं कि इंडिपेंडेंट वर्सेस लेबल्स,
mm,
या फिर अ सिंगर शुड कंप्लीटली गो ऑन हिज ओन आज के
mm.
टाइम में, जब म्यूजिक
Um,
घर पे बन सकता है.
I think again this either or way of doing is it doesn't have to be the way. We can always do both. And I think there are pros and cons of doing both. For example, if you look at labels, if you look at films, they already have a very established audience, right? So if you do something in that space, you are going to get a lot of reach. Or if you do something in the independent space, people who know you for your film work, they might come across your work and say, hey, you know what, there's something which is not in a film, but this seems to be connected to the singer, and I would love to listen. So I think that's the advantage of being in both spaces. If you choose to do only independent music and you're starting afresh, I think it would be difficult for you to build that kind of reach right away. It could happen in an
हाँ.
organic way, or maybe one of your songs could become an overnight sensation, and therefore your content goes viral and you get a lot more people following you and they listen to your work. But I think a great way to do it is to do both, as long as you enjoy doing both. I think
Fair enough.
films have given me a lot of love, a lot of listeners, and people listen to my film songs because they like the compositions by the composers I've worked with. And as and when I've released independent music, a lot of people who have crossed over from the film side of things and they listen to your independent music and they say, hey, you know what, I heard your voice in this song in a film, and I saw that you've also done something in the independent space, and I wanted to listen to it. So I think that's
Wow.
a great way to go about it because you benefit from both in that sense. So I don't think it has to be either or. It's your choice really. Agar aapko films mein hi rehna hai, that's also fine. But I think it's about the choice that you make in terms of the people you want to work with. Are you comfortable working with other people, or do you want to sing only your own compositions? So I think that's a choice
बेसिकली
you have to make for yourself.
बेसिकली बॉस चाहिए तो लेबल्स,
Hmm.
बॉस नहीं चाहिए, बिजनेस करना है तो इंडिपेंडेंट.
Independent.
फेयर इनफ.
Interesting comparison. Yeah, yeah.
तो अगर हम यहाँ पे बात करते हैं मैम, आपने नहीं सोचा कि मैं अपनी एक एल्बम ड्रॉप कर देती हूँ, या आई रिलीज माय एल्बम, दो यू हैव अ यूट्यूब चैनल, एंड गाइस मैं टैग करूंगा, जो लोग बाद में देख रहे हैं या लाइव देख रहे हैं, मैं टैग करूंगा मैम का यूट्यूब चैनल, तो यू गाइस कैन गो एंड रीच आउट टू दैट चैनल ऑल्सो, और उसके बाद आपको वहां पे मजेदार गाने सुनने को मिलेंगे. मैं बड़ा क्लियरली बोल रहा हूँ, तो
Thank you
जाके
very
चुपचाप
much. Thank
सब्सक्राइब
you.
कर लेना.
Very nice of you. Thank you so much. I
एंड
do. Yeah. Go ahead. नहीं,
मैम
आप
मैं यही
मुझे
पूछ रहा हूँ, एल्बम कब आ रही है आपकी?
Yes. We have released a few singles along the way. We've done a few of them, including an original composition that was released on the occasion of Ganesh Chaturthi last month, and we're doing something for Diwali as well. We're also working on an original album of ghazals, and that's going to be out in a few months or a few weeks, actually, not a few
हाँ.
months. And a lot more plans are happening, and it's just about how we get together and make those plans turn them into proper releases. It's going to happen. It's already happened, but we're kind of building more work in that space, creating more work in that space, because I've realized that that's something I enjoy doing. I am slowly getting into the composing side of things, and I find that it brings me a lot of joy. And
Fair enough.
musically, I'm also learning a lot of things about myself. And using all of that clarity, I definitely want to do a lot more independent music. So that is currently work in progress, and you'll see a lot more on our YouTube channel.
Because I see when I saw your Instagram profile, there was something in common between us. That was Abby V.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Yeah, recently he released a song with Kamal Hassan sir,
Mm-hmm.
and I reacted to it.
Okay.
So he's so generous.
Mm.
He simply he could have easily I used his entire Kamal Hassan's video to
Okay.
react upon without his permission, and
Okay.
I was like so rude enough without having any permission. I just posted it on my YouTube,
Okay.
and he saw it there. Then he
Hmm.
texted me, "Bro,
Hmm.
can I use your reaction on my Instagram?" What?
That's
You're
really
asked.
sweet. Yeah. Hmm.
He's extremely sweet. एंड मैम आपका अब मैं ये देख रहा हूँ कि जिस तरीके से ये मूवीज आ रही हैं एनी
Hmm.
अपकमिंग प्रोजेक्ट जैसे अभी का भी कमल हसन सर के साथ आया एनी
Hmm.
एक्टर यू वांट टू सिंग फॉर या एनी पर्टिकुलर प्रोजेक्ट विच इज कमिंग नेक्स्ट विच इज इन द
Hmm.
बकेट लिस्ट
The bucket list is kilometers long, and it keeps
ओके
growing. And again, going back to Abby V, he's a wonderful musician, and like you said, very generous with his compliments and praise, and the way he supports other people. It's very nice to see people like that, because I truly believe that there is enough space for everyone to grow. And I think when we use our power and our presence to support other people, I think it's a very beautiful expression of goodwill
या
and encouragement. And as for my upcoming projects, the thing is, when you go for a recording, you don't know when it's going to be out, first of all. And secondly, I think until things are announced by the labels or by the production houses, you don't know what to say really. Or what I
ये
can
बड़ा चक्कर है आई कैन
exactly.
रिलेट टू दैट
You know how it is. So you can't really say anything. I'm excited about the work I've been doing. And as and when they make the announcements, I would be in a better position to speak about it. But as for the bucket list, it's, like supremely long, and it's very difficult to really mention names. And please don't ask me to pick favorites. That's not going to happen. I think there are a lot of people I
नहीं वो
want
भी
to work.
आएगा टाइम
Yeah, there are a lot of people I want to work with in India, internationally, and I think, like I said, the sky is the limit. And the plan in the months ahead is to define my goals and then decide how to go about achieving them. So.
any modern day music director you feel like that is doing extremely well as if now
As of now, I mean, so many of them, so hard to pick. And I think someone I've admired for the longest time is Amit Trivedi, sir. I think the way his
brilliant
sound has evolved, and right from the earlier albums like Wake Up Sid and Devdi, and
Mhm.
such beautiful songs, and you can't stop listening to them. It's almost like you become addicted, and even if you listen to them after a while, it's like rediscovering parts of those songs, and it still feels so fresh. And I think he simply amazing in the work that he does. And I really love Ram Sampath sir's music as well. Vishal Bharadwaj sir, all of these.
Oh,
I think I really love.
very different kind of a music director he
Yeah,
is.
very earthy. It's almost like you can feel the
उनका
texture work that he
उनका
does.
म्यूजिक ऐसे लगता है ही इज डेवलपिंग अ कैरेक्टर आउट ऑफ इट
Yeah.
तो वो
It's like the description of a person, like a painting,
या
as in when you hear the song. And so, yeah, I think these three composers definitely come to mind. And I think there are many others too. It's really hard to give a short answer to a question like that. But these three composers have been doing a stellar job.
और मैम आजकल तो रियलिटी शोज का इतना ट्रेंड है बिग बॉस हो गया या मतलब जिस भी सिंगर के पास मैंने देखा है दे ट्राई एंड गो टू गेट ऑडियंस फ्रॉम एनीवेयर दे वांट टू
Hmm.
So any plans you believe like going to Big Boss, or you feel like you should approach more people like that? Do you
Hmm.
think, because
Hmm.
ये भी एक वे है to get engaged to the audience, to get the newer audience to your bucket? वो चीज मैं जानना चाहता था,
True.
क्या
I
आपका
think,
क्या थॉट है?
yeah, like you said, entering reality shows, automatically, the entire world gets to know about you.
Yeah.
But as for my plans, I don't think that's the approach that I'm thinking of, and it's honestly not something I've ever considered, and I'm very happy going about it in this way. So also, I think I'll save all my drama for off screen. So
अगर ऑफर आएगा तो मतलब रिजेक्टेड है, ऐसा मान
हाँ,
लें?
offers नहीं है. Even if it were there, I don't think it's something that would fall in
ओके
line with my goals and what I'd like to do. So
मैम, जहाँ तक मेरे को लग रहा है, मैं आपके लिए एक स्पेशल सा सेक्शन डेवलप करा है, विच इज़ लाइक
okay,
रैपिड फायर राउंड.
okay,
तो अब इसमें ना तो आप ये बोल सकते हो कि आई हैव अ चॉइस, आई कांट पिक वन. ठीक
okay.
है? तो ये मैं आपको पहले ही बोल दूं, आंसर तो हमें चाहिए. जब तक आप लोगे नहीं आंसर, दोगे नहीं, मैं नेक्स्ट क्वेश्चन पे मूव नहीं करूंगा.
Okay, okay. All
सो
right.
वील
Let's.
बी गोइंग फॉर इट. इसमें कोई डिप्लोमेसी नहीं है, मैं पहले बता रहा हूँ आपको. आपको बड़ा सीधा सीधा बोलना पड़ेगा कि ये अच्छा है, ये नहीं अच्छा है.
Oh my God. Okay.
चलो ये नहीं अच्छा वाला पार्ट हटा देते हैं.
Trial questions? Anything?
नहीं,
No.
नहीं मैम, वी
Okay.
आर नॉट प्लेइंग क्रिकेट ऑन द ग्राउंड.
Okay. Okay, fine. All right. Let's try.
फेवरेट एक्टर मैम?
Oh my God. What are the choices? There
नो
are no
चॉइस.
choices.
यो, नो.
Honestly, you're going to find this answer very boring because I honestly don't have a favorite actor. I admire a lot of people, but I'm one of those strange people. I don't have an answer for favorite
फिर
actor.
भी एक एक एक्टर तो होगा जिसको देखने के बाद आपको क्या, यार इसकी मूवी देख के आनी है.
I think again, I admire a lot of people on screen, and I think Irfan Khan sir is someone I think who's
ओह
absolutely,
वाओ.
and we've lost such a legend, such a star.
I remember that day because I was live on my other channel. I was playing PUBG, and that was in
Okay.
COVID.
Uh-huh.
That was around COVID.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
उसके थोड़ी देर बाद की बात ही थी, मतलब ओपन हो गया था कोविड. एंड मेरे
Hmm.
को याद है मैं लाइव था, एंड सर्टेनली आई स्टार्टेड गेटिंग मैसेजेस ऑन माय लाइव. यू हैव
Hmm.
हर्ड अबाउट दिस न्यूज़? एंड आई वाज लाइक स्टक. आई जस्ट सिंपली टर्न्ड ऑफ माय लाइव. चलती लाइव बंद कर दी मैंने, एंड इट वाज अ स्पॉन्सर्ड लाइव.
Oh.
आई जस्ट गॉट इट शट. मैंने फटाफट पता करा कि ये न्यूज़ रियल है या नहीं है, एंड आई रिमेंबर दैट डे वाज लाइक other day
Terrible.
for my life.
Yeah.
I want to skip that day of my life actually.
I'm sorry if this was a sensitive topic.
No, no, no. Irfan sir is something very close to my heart because I met him quite a few times, and the knowledge he has given me in those two meetings, and I think nobody else can give that to me. मेरे को ऐसा
I'm
फील होता है इस इंडस्ट्री, वो
how fortunate.
इंसाइक्लोपीडिया थे.
Hmm. And the way he
और
lights
मैम,
up the screen and just lights up every frame, very special.
आई मुझे याद है मैं एक बार उनके पास बैठा हुआ था, एंड आई कुक समथिंग फ्रॉम माय होम, एंड ही
Hmm.
सिंपली सेड, क्या खा रहा है? I was like, I just cooked something, some paneer tikka or something like that,
Hmm.
from तूने तूने बनाया? हाँ.
Hmm.
एक बाइट दे. He
Wow.
took a bite. He took a bite, and I just asked, मैं सर अगर मेरे से ना एक्ट नहीं हो रहा, एक दिन पहले मैंने अपना टेलीविजन का फर्स्ट शॉट दिया था,
Hmm. Oh,
एंड
wow.
माइंड यू I gave 35 takes, and the
Wow.
director was pissed upon me.
Hmm.
नेक्स्ट डे आई वाज सिटिंग नेक्स्ट टू इरफान सर. मैंने कहा सर मेरे से ना हो रहा, मैंने ट्राई
Hmm.
किया है, ये मेरे से नहीं होगा. कहते
Hmm.
पहला दिन था ना? मैंने कहा हाँ. कहते जस्ट वो कर, अगर तू वो काम कर रहा होता तो कैसे करता?
Hmm.
सपोजिटली यू आर डूइंग इट, एंड ही जस्ट गेव मी वन टिप. नेक्स्ट डे आई वाज ऑन सेट. मैंने उस दिन के बाद से आज तक 3 टेक से ज्यादा टेक नहीं दिए.
Wow. That's incredible.
एक वर्ड में उन्होंने मेरा पूरा एक्टिंग करियर सॉर्ट कर दिया खड़े हुए. आई वाज लाइक सॉर्टेड एंड डायरेक्टर वाज हैप्पी, आई वाज हैप्पी, एवरीबॉडी इज हैप्पी.
Hmm.
लेजेंड मैन.
That's very generous of him. I think what sets people apart is when they're good at something, but they're also generous with their knowledge and they're willing to share. And I
मेरी
think that's
ऑडियंस आज शॉक हो जाएगी कि ये टेलीविजन भी कर चुका है. सॉरी गाइस, मैंने तुम्हें नहीं बताया था. ढूंढ
good,
मत
good.
लेना, मेरे क्लिप्स मिल जाएंगे तुम्हें.
And that's a wonderful tip that you have now shared with so many people. You have
या
um, you know.
कहते अगर तुम वो कैरेक्टर नहीं बन सकते तो तुम ये सोचो कि तुम वो काम कैसे करते. सिंपल. आई वाज लाइक ये तो सोचा ही नहीं. आई वाज डिगिंग इनटू द होल थिंग. आई जस्ट गॉट दिस रोल. आई जस्ट थिंकिंग कि ये कैरेक्टर होता, अगर मैं ये कैरेक्टर होता तो ये कैसे करता. देन ही सेड नहीं, तू ये कैसे करता ये सोच. ये काम जो ये कैरेक्टर कर रहा है तू ये कैसे करता ये सोच. वो वाला कैरेक्टर तू है, इसीलिए डायरेक्टर ने तुझे पिक किया है. I was sorted in one line. I was like, done. Now I'll do that way.
That's
Bhai,
fantastic.
legend, man.
Yeah, dearly missed.
Sorry, we skipped out rapid fire on my personal note. Sorry, guys.
We can continue this conversation instead of rapid fire. So much.
नहीं, अब तेज आएंगे. अब तेज आएंगे. Sorry.
Oh God.
So favorite actor इरफान खान. और उसके बाद अगर बात करूँ favorite food and dish दोनों.
Oh man, I have so many favorites. So growing up in the Middle East, I think I love Middle Eastern food. So like Arab food, like hummus and falafel and shawarma.
Wow.
And all of that. I think that's comfort food.
My weight tells it all how much I love food. So I can relate. और उसके बाद मैम फेवरेट सिंगर.
Oh,
मेल भी फीमेल भी.
Okay, female Sadhna Sargamji. I think she's phenomenal, and I would also put absolutely, and I would also put my mother in the same slot, because I think all these, especially all these old Hindi songs, when I listen to them when I think about them, I hear them in my mother's voice, because she taught me so many of these songs. And and I remember when we were in school and we'd go for these competitions, all my friends would be singing, like the latest songs, and my mother would teach me these old Hindi songs, and at that point I would sing them. But I'd ask her questions like, why are you doing this? Everybody's singing the latest song and you're making me sing, such old songs. And of course, today I'm so grateful because I was fortunate to learn them so early on. And I've had so much time to grow and evolve with those songs. And when you sing them today, you sing them from a space of having known them for so long. It's like an old friend.
Perfect.
That kind of familiarity, so that definitely worked. So so those two amazing women. And male, again, very hard to pick. Sonu Nigam sir, of course, absolutely lovely vocals, and so many more people as well. But that name comes to mind very quickly.
I just love his actually I love him as a singer. तो वो तो फैक्ट है, because आप मेरी चैनल पे जब भी सोनू निगम सर की बात सुनोगे ना, I always tell people, I flex that actually. Because these Gen Z kids don't know what he has done before singing Bollywood. Before singing Bollywood, Sonu Nigam sir used to sing bhajans. और मेरा जो पहला इंट्रोडक्शन था, that was Sonu Nigam sir's bhajan, and that was मैया जी तेरे दर पे जोगी सन्यासी आए हैं. और मैं हमेशा फ्लेक्स करता हूँ, मैंने ये सुन रखा है, तुम लोगों ने नहीं सुना हुआ. जाके सुनो.
And so many people like who are born in the last 20 years, the kind of music we've had in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, and going further behind.
I believe we were blessed.
I definitely agree. Musically, we've had such a wealth of art that we've been exposed to, and truly beautiful.
और मैं हमेशा बोलता हूँ 95 से 85 का जो बैच है ना, जो मतलब बर्थ बैच है बेसिकली, इन्होंने हर चीज का ट्रांजिशन फ्रॉम पास्ट टू प्रेजेंट टू फ्यूचर सब देखना है.
करेक्ट.
ये सारा इवॉल्वमेंट इन्हीं के दौरान आया है.
Absolutely, yeah. The kind of transitions we've seen.
बिकॉज हमारे पेरेंट्स बहुत ज्यादा ट्रेडिशनली सोचते हैं, बहुत ज्यादा ऑर्थोडॉक्स सोचते हैं. हमारे जो आगे वाली जनरेशन है वो बिल्कुल ही वो लेना देना ही नहीं ट्रेडिशन से. हम दो जगह फंस जाते हैं, इधर वाला ऑर्थोडॉक्स मांग रहा है, इधर वाला ट्रेडिशनल मांग रहा है. So we have to blend with both.
True, and I think going back to the topic of this podcast, what you had said earlier, I think the trick is to, or not trick per se. I think a great way to do it is to combine all of it, and that's how you keep
Yeah.
things relevant. How would a 10-year-old of today, be keen to listen to something that was made 60, 70 years before he was born? If
Actually.
you play it in the original format, he may not be interested. But how do we try and make sure that that particular art form is not lost? You create another format for them which feels relevant to them, it feels relatable to them, and that's how you keep those things alive, if you want to keep them alive. Otherwise, in a matter of a few decades or centuries, we've already lost so many art forms that we don't know of because it wasn't documented properly, or it was just lost along the way. So how do you make sure that whatever you think is precious is carried forward? So that's an important conversation to have.
Thankfully मैं बच गया, मैंने ये क्वेश्चन रखा हुआ था, अब मेरे पास
Okay.
रीजन है पूछने का, तो ये
Oh, no.
ये वाला सेगमेंट खत्म करके पूछूंगा.
Okay, sure.
मैम अब आपसे एक लास्ट है, रैपिड फायर रहा तो नहीं वैसे, लेकिन पूछ लेता हूँ.
Sure.
Any of your celebrity crush?
What? So not expecting this question.
Yeah, you are in a podcast with RG.
Very long list again. Honestly, again, you're going to find my answers so silly. I can't think of a single person right now. I think the last time I had a celebrity crush, I was in school. And I think growing
चलेगा
up...
ना, मेरा तो स्कूल में टीचर पे भी था.
Really? I don't know. I think I'm just blanking out. I don't have a name. I really don't have a name. I know how ridiculous it sounds, but I can't think of a name.
एक भी सेलिब्रिटी क्रश नहीं है? Sad for the celebrities then.
No, I think they're just... It just doesn't come to your mind, no? You're just thinking about it. Just, yeah.
इनमें से मैं किसका नाम लूं?
Exactly. There's so many.
ये वो चल रहा है.
So many. How do I pick one? Let's let that be the answer. It's too hard to pick one. So let's be the answer.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And favorite language to sing, because you sing in many languages.
You said you would not ask me for a favorite language.
मैंने कहा था मैं आगे पूछूंगा.
Yeah, but it's such a difficult question because I feel that each language is so beautiful. I'm giving you, I know these sound very cliched, but I mean it. Like, each language is so beautiful. The way the words are, pronounced and written, and the meaning. It's so hard to pick one. And there are so many languages to explore. It's definitely hard to pick one. But I think for the sake of keeping this a little, fun and giving you an answer that you would like, I think Hindi and Tamil have always been at the top of the list.
Very nice.
And but there are so many more I would love to do. But I would like to give you an answer for at least one of the questions. So Hindi and Tamil, I would say.
बाकी एक चीज बोलूंगा, दो रैपिड फायर हैज बीन डिस्ट्रॉयड, बट द थिंग इज आई लव्ड द कन्वर्सेशन ड्यूरिंग द रैपिड फायर आल्सो.
Thank you.
And
I can give short answers. This is proof.
मैं एक ही चीज बोलूंगा ऑडियंस के लिए, यहाँ पे फन पार्ट ये है कि वी आर गिविंग अवे 2 मेंबरशिप्स टू आवर सब्सक्राइबर्स. तो नेक्स्ट लाइव जब भी होगी आ जाना, उसके अंदर मैं आपको मेरी तरफ से 2 मेंबरशिप का गिव अवे करने वाला हूँ. तो यू गाइस कैन जॉइन रिएक्शन बाय आरजी. ऑन दैट नोट, अगर हम बात करें, आपने एक बीच में बात छेड़ी थी कि लोग म्यूजिक को भूल रहे हैं. That's the last question for the day, and I want you to talk about this. कहीं ना कहीं आपको भी ये चीज फील होती है कि क्लासिकल सिंगिंग को लोग भूल रहे हैं, जो ये पास्ट कुछ टाइम के born and brought up kids हैं, यानी कि Gen Zs. They are inclined towards more into hip hop या modern music. What is your thought about it?
I think forgetting is probably not the correct word. What I would say is that, like I said earlier, there are so many beautiful art forms, and if we don't try and modify them to suit today's not trends, but just the way people are used to kind of, are accustomed to rather, we definitely risk losing those art forms. So I would say that, in fact, now there is a greater revival because of social media. You have so many more avenues for people to express themselves. And even a lot of
Yeah,
traditional classical musicians have decided that if they want to continue doing what they do, and if they want to kind of maybe educate people on a larger scale, they have to make friends with social media platforms. And you see a lot of these artists who now have social media teams, so they have realized that the way to make progress is to adapt to social media and move forward. So I think that people are
exactly.
doing a better job now. A lot of
Hmm.
people who decided that they won't use social media, I think unfortunately we've lost a lot of knowledge along with the artist, after their time.
Hmm.
So the ones who have realized that the way to keep things, to preserve them, to make sure that it's, intact, is to start documenting and to use all these multiple avenues that we have, multiple platforms that we have, and
Fair enough.
store, spread around the world through your concerts, your recorded videos, any knowledge that you wish to disseminate. So I think people have now realized that social media can be very helpful in that zone. And the ones who have latched on to that thought are doing very well for themselves. So we don't really stand at risk of losing anything if we also look at it that way. People often talk about the bad side of social media, but there's actually very
Hmm.
useful sides as well, and
Actually,
especially the younger generations, they are so skilled at using all of this. The way they navigate through different platforms, and every day there's a new social media platform that they talk about, and it's pretty astonishing, really. So you get their expertise, and then you get these senior musicians with so much to share and so much to talk about and so much to
hmm,
give, and it's a great combination. You work with people who are tech savvy, and they will help you spread your art in a more organized, meaningful manner.
मैम वैसे तो मैं ये क्वेश्चन शायद रेलेवेंट ना लगे, लेकिन मेरा मन कर रहा है आपसे ये चीज पूछने का,
Mhm.
because there is a very different kind of a music industry in the that is developing in India. That's
Mhm.
Assamese music.
Okay.
मतलब
Mhm.
अगर हम वहाँ का म्यूजिक सुनते हैं, मैं मतलब पर्टिकुलरली वहाँ का म्यूजिक सुनता हूँ, उन्होंने जो ट्रेडिशनल ब्लेंड रखा है म्यूजिक के
Mhm.
अंदर, मुझे लगता है कि वो कुछ ऐसा है कि शायद आने वाले टाइम में कुछ इंडिया को नया दे सके. बिकॉज
Okay.
आई हर्ड आर्टिस्ट लाइक लाके नंदन लाहो, वो
Mhm.
फ्लूट बजा रहे हैं वहां पे
Mhm.
म्यूजिक के अंदर, एंड ही इज एक्सट्रीमली पॉपुलर. मतलब
Okay.
बहुत बढ़िया.
Mhm.
अरसलान, व्हाट अ म्यूजिक कंपोजर ही इज. ऐसे
Mhm.
हैं. आपका है कुछ मतलब आपने एसएमएस म्यूजिक को सुना है थोड़ा बहुत, मतलब आपका ध्यान हो उधर?
I have a lot of very dear friends from Assam, so they have sent me links over the years to music that they listen to. Um,
हाँ.
so I think that's the best part about knowing people from different cities, from different countries. You get to listen to so many different
या.
forms of music. Um, I've listened to music from Morocco, from Egypt, uh, a lot of other places, Spain, because of good friends and family who live there. So similarly, yes, I've listened to a lot of beautiful Assamese music, and I think, like you said, they have so much to offer, and
या.
so much musicality, and I you would only wish for them to have more reach and a bigger platform to showcase what they have. So there's
बिकॉज
definitely.
मुझे वो एक ऐसी इंडस्ट्री लगती है जो बहुत बड़े लेवल पे एक्सपैंड हो सकती है. मैं रिएक्ट करता हूँ उनके सॉन्ग्स पे. आई रिएक्ट टू
Mhm.
जुबिन गर्ग दादा's क्रिएशंस. ही कीप हिज ओन ओरिजिनल सेल्फ विद हिमसेल्फ, बट जो नए
Mhm.
कंपोजर्स आ रहे हैं,
Mm.
दे आर एक्सट्रीमली टैलेंटेड. मतलब
Okay.
मैं देखता हूँ उनका जो वोकल है वो भी बहुत अच्छा है, उनका
Mhm.
म्यूजिकल आर्ट है वो भी बहुत अच्छा है. एंड
Mm.
एसएमईज म्यूजिक इज समथिंग विच आई बिलीव इंडिया को किसी ना किसी अलग लेवल पे लेके जाने की क्षमता रखता है. तो
Okay.
मैं पता नहीं क्यों मेरे को आया ये क्वेश्चन आपसे पूछने के लिए. आई वाज नोवे देयर इन द लिस्ट, बट मेरे को कहीं ना लगा कि ये चीज डिस्कस कर सकता हूँ मैं आपसे.
Mm. I mean, it's wonderful that you brought it up, and I think thanks to this conversation, whoever's tuning in would now be tempted to go and listen to music from that region. And I think that's again another beautiful expression of support that you've done. You
And
liked
if you'll ask
somebody.
me, I'd like to share some of the beautiful songs over there. मैं आपको
Yes,
शेयर
absolutely.
करूंगा वो चीज.
I'd love to listen. And this is also what we spoke about, right? If you like something and you have
Yeah.
you have an audience, you have people who listen to your opinions and who love to listen to what you have to say. You have used your platform in a very beautiful, responsible, meaningful manner to share work of an artist or artist that you like. And this is how word spreads. And what you did was a very beautiful gesture of support.
आई मस्ट से मैम, मैंने ना अपने इस 2 साल की जर्नी में
Mm,
मेरे को हर रीजन से सपोर्ट मिला है. मेरे को
mm,
आसाम से सपोर्ट मिला है, बंगाल
mm,
से मिला है, बट आई हैव एक्सप्लोर्ड द रॉ
mm,
न्यू अपकमिंग टैलेंट.
mm,
और जो मेरे पता क्या है, रिएक्शन चैनल्स के बारे में ना एक मिथ है कि ये लोग दूसरे का कंटेंट रिएक्ट कर देते हैं.
mm,
पर कहीं ना हम नए लोगों को जितना एज अ रिएक्शन चैनल अप्रोच कर पा रहे हैं, मुझे
mm,
नहीं लगता कि कोई और कर पा रहा होगा. तो मैं
mm,
हमेशा हमेशा जैसे अब आप साउथ, यू प्रेफर सिंगिंग इन साउथ, राइट? तो
mm,
अगर मैं आप तक भी एक बात ले जाऊं, शायद
mm.
आप जाके 2 लोगों को सुन लो, कहीं
Exactly.
आपको लगे कि हाँ ये हमारे भी काम आ सकता है, तो
Or
वहां
you
से
want to
वो
collaborate with
म्यूजिक.
somebody. Yeah.
या
You reach out
तो
to
वो
them.
चीज
Yeah.
वो चीज म्यूजिक को और बड़ा करेगी.
Mm.
बट मेरा यही एफर्ट होता है. जो बाकी मैं आई होप मैंने आपको ज्यादा परेशान ना किया हो.
Not at all. Thank you for this space, for inviting me to join this conversation. I think we've spoken about some, a wide range of topics, and I think it was
या
very interesting to have this conversation with you. Thank you for making me feel comfortable and for a lovely evening. Thank you.
मैम, मतलब मेरे लिए हमेशा एक प्लेजर होती है कि मैं एक्चुअली, मतलब मेरे को बड़ा खुशी होती है जब आर्टिस्ट जिनको हम सुनते हैं ना,
Hmm.
उनसे आप थोड़ा सा भी इनपुट ले पाओ. मुझे बहुत कुछ सीखने को मिलता है
Mhm.
एज अ स्टूडेंट ऑफ म्यूजिक, आई वुड से.
Hmm.
बिकॉज मेरे को आपसे कई चीजें सीखने को मिली. जैसे आपने एक चीज बोली कि स्टडी आपसे, मैं अगर एक चीज डिराइव कर रहा हूँ ना, तो वो नए आर्टिस्ट में ये भी जाएगा कि
Hmm.
एक मतलब अ सिंगर हु हैज लर्न साइकोलॉजी,
Hmm.
ठीक है, साइकोलॉजी को अपने म्यूजिक में आप किस तरह अच्छे वे में ब्लेंड कर सकते हो,
Hmm.
वो चीज मेरे ख्याल से बहुत अच्छी नॉलेज है लोगों के लिए. बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स होंगे. हम बैठ के अभी इसमें, मैं शायद दोबारा देखूंगा ये जब एडिट करते हुए, तो
Mhm.
वो चीज मतलब मेरे को अच्छा लगेगा जानने में मैं और क्या क्या चीजें इसमें से निकाल पाया.
Hmm.
एंड इट वाज सच अ प्लेजर टॉकिंग टू यू. इट वाज
Thank
सो
you.
नॉलेजेबल. एंड आई
Likewise.
बिलीव
My pleasure entirely. Thank you.
आपको अच्छा लगा हो यहाँ पे आके. एंड आई विश यू लक मैम, कि आप बहुत सारा म्यूजिक लेकर आओ हमारे लिए, बहुत सारे
Thank you
सॉन्ग्स
so
लेकर आओ, हम
much.
आपको सुने.
Thank you so
थैंक यू.
much. And as I said, I haven't forgotten. I hope to see you at a Madras Mahfil concert very
वेरी
soon. And
सून.
it would be lovely to have this conversation in person as well. So, looking forward to
थैंक यू
that.
सो मच मैम.
Thank you. Take care.
थैंक यू सो मच. सो गाइज, मेरे गले को माफ कर देना आज के लिए तुम लोग यार, बिकॉज वी हैव सच अ ब्यूटीफुल गला विद दस, शी sang it so well. तो मेरे को माफ कर देना. लेकिन ऑल सेड एंड डन, मैं तुम लोग को सिर्फ इतना बोलूंगा कि हर रीजन को, हर नए म्यूजिक को, हर नए आर्टिस्ट को उतना ही सपोर्ट करो जितना तुम अपने फेवरेट सिंगर को सपोर्ट करते हो, जितना तुम अपने फेवरेट जॉनर ऑफ म्यूजिक को सपोर्ट करते हो. सिर्फ इतनी सी बात होती है. एंड मैं चाहता हूं कि आप हर हर रीजन के म्यूजिक के बारे में जानो. मेरा ये पॉडकास्ट का रीजन यही है. बाकी गाइज, इट वाज प्लेजर. आप लोगों ने अगर यहाँ तक पॉडकास्ट देखा है, एंड प्लीज सब्सक्राइब टू आवर चैनल. एंड मोर ओवर, मैंने मैम के चैनल का लिंक दिया है, आप डिस्क्रिप्शन में डाल दिया मैंने, तो आप लोग जाके बड़े आराम से सब्सक्राइब कर सकते हो. जो लोग बाद में देख रहे हैं वो भी कर लेना. एंड सपोर्ट हर. इंस्टाग्राम आईडी मैम का मैं लिंक में डाल दूंगा, अब जाके वो भी सबको फॉलो कर लेना. विल सी यू इन अनदर वीडियो गाइज. थैंक यू सो मच गाइज, एंड थैंक यू सो मच मैम फॉर बीइंग हियर.
Bye. Thank you. My pleasure. Bye.
So guys, that was the podcast for the day, and this was the last day for the podcast as of now. Next podcast कब होने वाली है किसके साथ होगी ये तो सरप्राइज होता है हमारी तरफ से, बट अब मैं तुम्हें एक छोटे से नोट पे बोल देता हूँ कि एक सरप्राइज आ रहा है तुम्हारे लिए, बम फटेगा, मजा आ जाएगा तुम्हें। विल सी यू इन अनदर वीडियो गाइस, जय हिंद।